welcome to the conversation. It's your girl, Miss Moi. Thank you so much to everybody who's been sharing and liking and posting the show. I really, really appreciate you. Today, I'm sitting down with a phenomenal individual that I happen to call friend. Albie, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing today?
I'm good.
That's what's up.
I'm so happy that you came out.
Yeah.
Anything
for you.
You real laid back, so I didn't know if you was gonna have the conversation with me.
Well, you just pick and choose the things you say when you get to a certain point in life and the people you talk to.
Yeah.
So you don't choose every battle to fight.
Right.
So this is a battle I didn't mind fighting.
Okay.
You ain't gonna beat me up too bad, so it's okay.
Well, I appreciate you so much for being here. Let's have a conversation.
Sure.
Okay. So we're gonna talk about you. Because the reason that I wanted to have you on, you have such phenomenal advice all the time, just about what's going on in the community on a personal level. Like, I've gotten some serious gems from you, so I know that you can give it to us today. Let's talk about your upbringing. How old were you when you moved here, or are you from here, or what?
Born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay.
I was born at Community Hospital. Weirdly enough, at 3:17 a.m.
Okay.
So 317 has been etched in my life since birth, literally.
Okay.
And my mother will not let me live the fact. You know, you was born at 3:17 in the morning.
Wow.
So yeah, that's something I constantly hear.
What kind of kid were you?
I guess if you ask the people in the hood what kind of kid I was, they're probably going to say that I was a nerdy kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was I'm not going to say was. I am still highly intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
I just choose to show my intelligence at different times because everybody doesn't deserve or need to know the true you if they ain't worthy of knowing that. So you don't share everything about yourself with everybody. So people say, oh, he got on tattoos, he's thug, and he's that. Okay, that I'll be that.
Mm-hmm.
Until you try to talk over me or talk around me. Then I'll let you know that I am actually very well read and educated on certain things and issues. So
I love it.
And then life experiences, when you go through life and you experience a lot of things, it also helps you know when people come to ask you questions about things and you've already experienced it several times over, it's easier for you to pass that information along to somebody with confidence.
Right.
So
right.
That helps also. But I stayed in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, my mom was, love you, Ma Dukes, by the way, she's watching.
Hi.
My mom's was the type of mother that knew that I grew up in the neighborhood where we were the only pale things in existence.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom and dad got married at a time when interracial marriages wasn't accepted at all.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, for me, in the village that I grew up in, which I call my neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
was wonderful because I was accepted. I didn't have to go through the, hey, you look like a little white kid, hey, this, that, and the other, when everybody knew I was black.
Mm-hmm.
I'm black, by the way. So if I get that question to this day still a million times. Are you white or black?
Mm-hmm.
I am very much black. My birth certificate says BLACK in capital letters. There's no white, other, or anything else.
Okay.
I was born 1971.
Mm-hmm.
I will be 50 in, let's say, about 9 or 10 days.
That's unbelievable.
So growing up for me in the hood was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot. Great friends.
Yeah.
Great friends. Not longer friends. We're family now. So
Mm-hmm.
we had villages back then. And I speak of bringing the villages back heavily because the way that we grew up is the way the kids deserve to grow up.
Right.
They deserve to have a chance to get outside and play in the streets without having to worry about being shot.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, we had football games in the street, baseball games in the street. We played hide and go seek.
Yeah.
We did red light, green light,
Mm-hmm.
curveball,
Yeah.
the whole nine,
Mm-hmm.
But this was long before any kind of social media,
Right.
any kind of cell phones, any kind of anything. We barely had Antares 2600s.
Yeah.
And we didn't sit in the house all day and play them because we couldn't wait to get outside.
Right.
Being in the house was like the worst punishment
Yes.
ever. You can't go outside. No!
Right.
So it was
Right.
like we had to get outside. When nowadays the kids do not want
No,
to
they
go
don't.
outside.
No, they don't.
You have to fight your kids to get them outside.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that I understood growing up was that the times were totally different for us then. It was so simple.
Yeah.
And it was so peaceful and everybody loved everybody.
Yeah.
And if you got in trouble at school, you got it from the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
I got off the bus on 34th Street. Before I got to 32nd Street, I got hit upside the head 5 times, sat down, talked to.
Yeah.
Got stuff taken from me before I even got home. By the time I get home, I was like, oh, well, you already, I got you together. But you still get in the room.
Right.
So it wasn't, and it wasn't none of this, if I whoop you, you going to call the police stuff. We got skint.
Right.
And we turned out okay. You know what I'm saying? So the disciplinary situation was different then.
Mm-hmm.
The parenting was different then.
Yeah.
The household was different then.
What were you like as a teenager?
I was off the hook as a teenager. I think that's when I really started smelling myself, around 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and dad was really leaning on me because I was the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to go. My mother never would not let me do anything. I was going to concerts at 12, 13 years old. We would catch the bus every day. We rode the bus.
Okay.
That's a difference.
The city bus.
The city bus,
Okay.
the metros. We rode buses back then to get where we wanted to go.
Thanks.
Like, we would catch the bus downtown, have to transfer from downtown to go all the way out to Lafayette Square just to fight.
Yeah.
And we would go out there just to fight. I mean, literally, like, every Saturday we would go to Lafayette Square just to east side, west side thing, or try to meet girls and holler at girls from the west side, from the north side. We all, so it was a different time. We didn't worry about getting shot. Didn't worry about getting stabbed.
Right.
Worst thing you had to worry about back then was maybe getting a black eye or a busted lip.
Yeah.
But you lived.
A lot more courage back then.
It was a lot more courage. It was a lot less scariness.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. Those scary cat guys that don't want to put their hands up but are quick to pull a gun up.
Right.
So no, we didn't have that back then growing up. So it made life more enjoyable for us because we were more free to do things.
Right.
So my teenage years, in my neighborhood, a bunch of us were spoiled because our moms and dads worked. Like, they really worked. Like, back then it was foundry jobs, construction jobs. People basically was Allison, Chevrolet, Jenner, Ford, Chrysler type of situation.
Okay.
These were the jobs that they gave black people back in the days, in the 70s. This is what you're going to do. And they stayed there.
Right.
For years and retired from there.
Get those pensions.
Got the pensions and the benefits. But we all lived in the neighborhoods where the houses were pretty much built the same.
Yeah.
All the houses were the same. You might have one that didn't have a basement.
Right.
But most of them had basements. So the basements were always ours.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the basement. The parents was upstairs. So it was one of those type of situations where being a teenager, kind of like 13 to 16, I was running around, gang banging back and forth to Chicago with my family, learning how to be a gangster from them because they was real gangsters in Chicago. This stuff here was nothing compared to what they was doing up in Chicago. So I learned a lot from my family in Chicago, came back down here with it. Didn't necessarily try to introduce it to my friends down here because they was already off the chain. We was already doing crazy stuff and hanging out, but nobody died.
Yeah.
So
nobody died. 16,
got a driver's license, got my first car, and
Which
was everywhere.
Was a what?
A Chevy Nova, a 73 4-door Chevy Nova with a shift on the column.
Okay.
Had to change gears on the column.
How did I know you knew that? Like,
I will never forget that car ever in my life. And we used to load up in there. I mean, we used to load up. We'd be 9 of us in that little 4-door Nova riding. We getting it.
Yeah.
We didn't catch the bus no more.
Right.
So I think that's when things started changing. And as we got older and started having kids, the stability factor of riding the buses disappeared because I'm not riding no bus. Ooh, who rides the bus?
Right.
I did. We all did. We loved the bus.
Me too.
We got there.
I didn't love the bus though, but I rode.
We got there. We loved to ride the bus because we acted a fool in the bus. Public schools we used to ride buses to high school. Metro buses to high school to Arlington.
Oh wow, okay.
They didn't have yellow buses. We used to ride the metros to go to high school to Arlington.
So what about your young adult years? What was that like?
Well, I was a father young, so I had an opportunity to have to play basketball in college, and that got messed up my senior in high school because I was caught with something in my locker that wasn't supposed to be there. So back when I was in high school in the 80s, it was different. Like, if you caught any kind of problems in high school, you just were blackballed from all colleges. So once I realized that I couldn't go to school to play basketball, it kind of crushed me a little bit because that was everything. That was my way out. me going to school to play ball and I was gonna be in the NBA, you know. But because that was taken away from me, I just kind of looked towards the streets more.
Yeah.
And that put me into the streets and started my days of selling drugs.
Okay. And so how did you get from that mentality to the mentality that you have today? Like, did you have to sit down? Did you learn some serious life lessons, or did you just at a point mature out of that way of thinking?
No. Most men will tell you that our evolutionary process is a lot slower than women's.
Mm-hmm.
We mature a lot slower than women do. And I think it's not necessarily for any particular reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just the fact that we want to hold on to being young
Yeah.
longer, you know, because once we get old, there's no going back. So we acted a fool. You know, my evolutionary process was slow because I was out here in the streets getting a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of money, and doing a lot of crazy things with a lot of people from all sides of town.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I tell people, you know, I was popular before social media.
Mm-hmm.
I was popular when our phone cords would go from the kitchen all the way to the basement, all the way around the house, and we had to dial a number, and if you messed up, you had to hang up and start over again.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't, our first cell phones were backpacks
Mm-hmm.
with big old batteries on them. We walking in the club with backpacks, you know, just to talk on the phone, and it cost you $7 a minute to use it. Evolutionary
Those
process.
and the briefcase ones. I remember those.
Yeah,
too.
$7 a minute to use it. You had to go get your minutes from Uptown, which is the club that used to be on 38th and Lafayette Road. They was the only place that had the hood cell phone service.
Mm-hmm.
So we could go in there and buy minutes, and we go in there and spend hundreds, loading the phone up just to talk for 5, 10, 15 minutes to somebody about nothing.
Yeah.
Pager generation, payphone generation.
Yeah.
So, you
All
know,
of that.
so yeah, it took for me, honestly, to go to prison to wake up.
Okay.
Because I realized everything that I lost by being away, all my people and all my family that were suffering while I was gone, that I was taking care of while I was out. My children,
Mm-hmm.
they were missing their dad.
Right.
So every day that a person's in prison, you can do one of two things. You can continue to be a prisoner,
Mm-hmm.
or you can start to wake up and see yourself in a different light.
Right.
So the longer that people stay in, the more time they have to self-reflect on themselves.
Okay.
My 8 years that I did in prison hurt me more than anything, probably because I lost my father while I was gone. I had to pay $8,000 just to go to his funeral. I had to sit in the church by myself and talk to my dad for 2 hours, and he couldn't respond.
Mm.
And at that point, I knew that I never wanted to leave my kids again.
Yeah.
I wanted to always be a hands-on father for my children. I wanted to never have them not have the safety and security of having their dad around.
Mm.
So,
How old were you when this happened?
see, I went to prison at 26. Got out of prison at 34. So, between the ages of 26 and 34.
And so when did you decide, not only am I going to change my mind, but I'm going to change my life? Because those are two different things. I think sometimes we know the right thing to do, but that doesn't mean we necessarily implement it in our daily.
I think that there has to be something that happens.
Okay.
There's not a moment when you change your mind. There has to be an event
Okay.
that happens that kind of really just knocks sense into your head without hitting you,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Okay.
My oldest son came to visit me, and he said, "Daddy, why are you here?"
Mm.
And I actually sat there and thought, like, why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to have Lexuses, because I wanted to have diamonds, because I wanted to have big houses,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to have all these things immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to work for them,
Right.
and it was too easy for me to attain it out here in the streets.
Yeah.
I wasn't really heavily thinking about the implications of my doings
Right.
would affect my children.
Right.
It would affect my family, would
Right.
affect my village around me that I took care of.
Yeah.
So when he told me, he said, "Daddy, when you come home, don't do that no more." I looked him in his face and promised. I said, "Son, I'll never sell dope anymore, ever. I'll never sell cocaine ever again." And from that day forward, my mentality changed. It's like, not only am I going to be in here every day doing my time, I'm going to be here every day learning myself better.
Yeah.
Learning better ways of staying away from this place when I get home.
Yeah.
Learning better ways of being able to take care of my people. learning better ways of being a better man. You know, being somebody that my mother can be proud of, you know, being somebody that can leave a legacy to last a lifetime for my kids, for future generations to say that was my grandfather, that's my great grandfather did this. You have to put yourself as a man in a position to know what's important to you.
Yeah.
And be able to literally devote yourself to those things that are important and push everything to the side.
So do you think you did this stuff simply because of the high and what you got from it, all of those great shiny things, or were you hurt? Was there a reason why you were living your life this way and carrying on these things?
I was living my life that way because that's what everybody was doing at the time.
Okay.
It was back in the late 80s and early 90s.
That was the thing.
Everybody was hustling.
Okay.
You know, because the job market wasn't there for us. We didn't have the economy back then that we have now. We didn't have the opportunities that we have now back then. So a lot of us had to do what we had to do to make it.
Yeah.
And in the process of us just trying to make it, we went above and beyond and really made it. And then it turned into a whole different mind state. It's like, I got more money than I know what to do with.
Right.
So I'm just going to go out and start doing frivolous stuff. You know, I'm going to go buy this and buy this. I got 8 cars, 4 houses. My mom's house is paid for. My mom's cars. You know, you just spending it because it's coming so fast. The money comes so fast. You just throwing it out. You know, and at that time, that seemed like the logical way to make it, and the logical way to be able to have the type of things you wanted to have.
Yeah. When
your first plan didn't work.
Yeah, but isn't that lifestyle dangerous? Like, didn't you have some sticky situations? Because everybody don't want to see you get money. Anytime
you're in the game, there's always a risk of danger. Because there's always somebody out there that's going to be envious of you, or somebody out there that just don't have the drive and the hustle in themselves to do it themselves.
Yeah.
So they'll take yours.
Right.
So you always have that worry, but we really didn't have that worry at that time because the drugs were so prevalent and so easy to get. We didn't have everybody. If somebody in the neighborhood was on, your whole neighborhood was on.
Yeah.
So we didn't have that worry for years because we didn't worry about nobody robbing us because there wasn't nobody really robbing nobody because everybody was getting money.
Everybody was getting money.
So it wasn't an issue back then. Nowadays,
it's not like that.
At all.
Everybody's just about self.
Self.
And that's why a lot of stuff is going on the way that it is.
One reason.
So once you got out, your mentality changed, your actions changed. What did you do?
I struggled.
Okay.
A lot. Because the first thing, when you go to prison and you're known for doing a certain type of thing, when you come home, everybody expects you to do the same thing.
Do that thing,
So upon my release, it was like, here, take this. Here, welcome home. Take this.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Right.
If you want to help me out, give me some money and point me to a job.
Right.
You know, buy me some clothes, point me to a job. Keep your stuff. You know, I'm not that person no more.
Right.
And being able to overcome the struggle that it takes to be broke. I mean, like, when you go away and you got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars and everything that you could ever dream of having and done trips and to come home to nothing, that's humbling.
Yeah.
Extremely humbling.
That's one thing that I do find common in stories like yours. There is a transitional period when you first come out and you're in society again, trying to get it. If you don't do it the same way you did before, it's gonna you're gonna bump your head and be frustrated for a while.
So for me, having the support group that I had coming home, they was like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. You'll make it, and whatever you decide to do, we'll support you.
That's what's up.
So, and I also have a little brother. I'm not even gonna call him a best friend. A little brother, and JF said, "Boy, get back into this music.
Yeah.
Come on, get back into this music. We can do this. Let's do this."
Yeah.
So I got back into DJing. I became a wig splitter. And
come on, wig splitter! I did not know that.
It's right there.
Okay, I'm reading.
So we, and I thank him.
Yeah.
So much, real talk, because he kept me out of the streets. He said, you can learn how, because when I left, I was DJing with records. We had 2 1200s and like crates.
Come on, vinyl.
So we doing DJing.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
I come home to a laptop and a little bitty CDJ.
Yeah.
And he's trying to teach me. He's like, you can learn how to do it, bro. It's easy. But I'm not, to this day, I'm not the most computer literate person.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows me knows, well, Al B don't do computers. No,
Yeah. It's not
I'm
for
cool.
you.
It's not me. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay somebody to do it for me.
Right.
I know it's done right.
Right.
So I tried it.
Mm-hmm.
We sat in Bro's studio, and he tried to show me how to drag the songs off the laptop, and the turntables, the CDJs are so little, and my
Yeah.
hands is so big that I couldn't. I was like
Ooh.
frustrated.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I tell you what, this is what you do. Take this." Handed me a microphone.
Okay.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
So what were you doing? Were you hosting?
Hosting,
Okay.
MCing,
Yeah.
you know, on air commercials, broadcasting,
Mm-hmm.
because I could always talk.
Yeah.
Talking ain't never been an issue for me. I can talk real good,
Yeah.
and my voice carries.
Mm-hmm.
So me and him started with JF and Al B having a party here. They having a party here, having a party here, having a party here, party, to the point where the notoriety that we had as the team,
Mm-hmm.
we got hired to do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked and we worked and we worked and we opened Bentleys. And when we opened Bentleys, we stayed in Bentleys for years.
Bentleys was something else. Okay.
Yes, I'm showing my age right now. But yeah, we opened Bentleys and we did Bentleys for years. And
Yeah.
then when Bentleys closed, we moved over to Silhouette, which used to be the Escalade.
Okay.
And
That's where I met you.
Right, and
Yes.
we did the Escalade till the Escalade burnt up. Then when they opened back up Silhouette, we jumped right back in on Silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
Then we rolled that out.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to the Point.
Yeah.
So we for years, decades, basically, we rocked. We were, you know, we still are. I ain't gonna say we were. We still
Yeah.
are, because that's my everyday. That's my little brother. You know,
Right.
we're family. His family is my family. My family is his family. And I will say that I owe him a lot, because he kept me out of the same streets that I kept him out of when he was younger.
How did you become the big homie? Because you are everybody's big homie. Like, I've heard that coming and going, male or female, Al B. How did you become that person?
Because I listen.
Okay.
I'm not one of these people that if somebody contacts me and say, "Hey, can I talk to you? I got some questions I want to ask you." I'm going to answer them. I'm going to listen. If I don't have time right then, I'll be like, "Just let me get back to you and I got you."
Yeah.
And we can work it out. So I guess my wisdom and my knowledge of the things that I've been through in my life has been able to help others
Mm-hmm.
not experience the same things that I've experienced in my life. And I think I don't have any problems with sharing my knowledge with anybody.
And you gonna tell the truth.
And I'm going to give it to you raw. A lot of people don't like what I say because I
You
don't
be like,
sugarcoat.
You know what? I'm gonna call you.
Right. I don't
Okay.
sugarcoat stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
because if you continue to pacify people,
Yeah.
they're not going to get the reality of the situations.
Right.
Sometimes you have to make people say, "Dang, for real?
Yeah.
You said that to me?
Right.
You asked me."
Right. Nobody
So
told you to ask.
don't ask me a question
Yeah.
you're not ready for the answer for, because I'm going to give it to you raw and uncut.
Right.
I lost my filter in my 20s. So I don't have a filter no more. I have respectful talking
Yes.
that I do to certain people in certain situations.
Yes.
But if you don't get that respectful talking, Albie, you get him.
Right.
And he's going to give it to you straight up. I had to give you some stuff straight up.
Yes, you did.
So
And I was like, bye. I don't
exactly.
wanna go. I
So
don't wanna
so
go.
I mean, so me being the person that I am and talking to people and actually taking the time to listen to people and
Yeah.
not just shrugging people off probably got me where I'm at in that sense, as far as people listening to me and consider me the big homie. Plus, like I said, I'm old. I've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, I've raised my kids, their friends.
Mm-hmm.
I got 30, 40 kids out here
Mm-hmm.
that call me Pops
Yeah.
because they all spend time in my house.
So what do you do with your story to give back to the community? How do you nourish it based on your past?
See, the thing that I think makes me more able to be able to do things with my community is because I've been in the community.
Mm-hmm.
They saw me doing wrong.
Yeah.
They knew the me that was out here beating people up. You know, they knew the me that was out here selling drugs to people. They knew the me that was out here stunting and showing out and clowning. And for them to see my evolution and the changes that I made in myself going from that person to where I'm at now, I think I gained a lot of respect from that because it's real. You know,
Absolutely.
I'm not going to sit up here and tell somebody something and not be the person to do it myself first. And I'm not going to ask nobody to do anything that I wouldn't do myself.
So what do you plan on doing in the future to implement the community based off of your passion?
For one, what we need to do is we need to be more careful and more knowledgeable of the things that happen in our own homes.
Okay.
So I've been pushing this for years now. Everybody's so worried about what the next person is doing,
Yeah.
what the next person's children are doing,
Right.
what the next person is living, what they're buying, what they're doing. Worry about what you're doing first. Cross your T's and dot your I's before you try to spell out somebody else's situations.
Yeah.
So clean your own house up first before you try to worry about what the next person's house is doing, because everybody's house ain't clean.
Right.
And a lot of people run from their own houses and worry about other people's houses because they don't want to deal with what they got going on in their own houses.
Right.
So until we take care of home first, we can't worry about nothing else. We can't worry about what the world's got going on out here until we worry about what we got going on in our own situations. And if people took more time to worry about their own situations, there'd be a lot less problems out here in the streets because they would be solved in-house, as they should be, before they even reach the streets.
Why do you think the parents are so sensitive today?
Because they didn't get the love growing up that they should have.
Well, okay.
Because if you look at it, like when crack hit in the late 80s and early 90s, crack tore up a lot of wonderful homes.
Yeah.
Because it's a very addictive drug. A lot of these kids that are having kids now were crack kids. So they didn't have the love and the upbringing that us and my generation had. They didn't have the strong home foundation. They didn't have the villages. They had to get by how they had to get by. They had to watch their mothers have multiple men come in and out the house and think that that was the way that they were supposed to do it.
Right.
So they were brought up with the wrong vision of what life is supposed to be from the start.
Yeah.
And it carries over. And until we break that cycle, it's going to continue to repeat itself because it's going on now. These women that have these young girls got these men running in and out the house, different man, different man, different man, different man, different man. Their daughters are seeing this.
Yeah.
And they're saying, okay, my mommy's doing this. My aunties are doing this. My godmother's doing this. I'm supposed to do this.
Right.
But no, you're not.
Right.
But nobody's going to break the cycle until everybody starts to admit or find fault in themselves.
That part. I think it's a lot of accountability that needs to happen
A lot.
as parents.
Yes.
If you're going to have children, pay attention to your children.
Yes.
What are your children doing? What are your children talking about? What are your children interested in? Not just yourself and what's good for you. I think something that I've noticed differently from being a child to an adult. My mom was a mom. Like, she acted like an older person. She dressed like an older person. Kids went back there and did kid stuff, and adults did they stuff up there, and we were not mixed in each other's conversations
Stayed
at
out
all.
of grown folks' business.
We stayed out of grown folks' business.
Right.
And so what I see a lot of times today is the parents are so interested in being the kid's friend, or they want to be young forever. So they can't even pay attention to what their children are doing. Like, they're showing you signs of things, but you don't see it because you're too busy focused on whatever you're focused on.
Right. So
So
one thing I learned, that my kids will tell you this now. When my children were born, there was no more me until I raised my children. And a lot of people don't have that mindset. I devoted my life to making sure that my kids had everything that they could have so they could prosper and become what they wanted to, what they dreamed of becoming in the future. And I went above and beyond to make sure that those things happen. A lot of times, parents, like, I let my kids do a lot of things that my friends like, you shouldn't let your kids go to that party. You shouldn't do this. Why not? They're good kids. If I keep my kids in the house, which means it's going to show them that I don't trust them. And I don't want them to ever think that I don't trust them. I want them to know that I trust them until they give me reason not to trust them.
Right.
So I allowed them to do a lot of things that people said I shouldn't. I allowed them to go places, but I took them. I picked them up
yeah.
and their friends to the point where my kids' friends' parents start saying, well, they can come over your house for the weekend. Yeah, they can come over because I'm going to be at home.
Right.
Because my kids are more important to me than these streets. And the streets will be there when my kids are grown if I choose to do that.
Right.
But right now, I choose to be a father to my kids, probably, and your kids, and your kids, and your kids, whoever kids that come through my door.
Yeah.
I'm their dad when they're in my house.
Yeah.
They're going to follow my rules, and I'm going to teach them how to be smart kids. I'm going to teach them how to stay away from trouble.
Right.
I'm going to give it to them real.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, oh, well, you can't do this. No, you can't do this because of this.
Right.
Don't let me hear about you behind no bleachers with no little boys.
Right.
That's nasty.
Right.
No. Yes.
I know.
So it's one of them type of things where I was the dad that was always more outspoken, but I was the one that not only my kids called, but their friends called when they had a problem.
So you're like the uncle or the dad to everybody.
Yeah.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about specifically Naptown, and this is why. I have a few issues with Nap, and I don't know if it's because I'm not from here, but I just feel like there is a lot of negativity, there's a lot of favoritism, and there's a lot of violence. What is going on with Naptown?
Well, for one, we have a lot of people that have migrated here throughout the years from other cities.
Okay.
And they bring their mentality here.
Okay.
And it rubs off on people here.
Okay.
Especially the people that I was speaking about that don't have the parents in the home to care.
Mm-hmm.
And they run around trying to find love where they can find it. They find it in the streets, but it's not always the right person that they find it from. And they're not always trying to tell them to do the right things. They lead them in the wrong direction. They use them.
Mm-hmm.
But the kids are so happy to have somebody that actually cares about them,
Yeah.
that they don't think about what they're doing when they're doing it. And a lot of that stems, like I said, from parents that, I'm not saying they're bad parents. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everybody out here is a drug head. They out here with being loose. They out here doing whatever. I'm not saying that, because a lot of parents out here, especially a lot of single mothers, do what they can.
Mm-hmm.
And I witness it every day in the work that I do in the city, that,
Mm-hmm.
that there are a lot of women that are just, they might work 2 jobs
Mm-hmm.
because they have a lot of bills to pay. They don't have their child's father helping them. So they have to do it themselves. So like I said, they have devoted themselves to their kids.
Mm-hmm.
So they work a lot. So the kids are latchkey kids. They're there by themselves a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They have to pretty much do a lot of thinking by themselves. So they turn to their friends or their friends' friends,
Mm-hmm.
or people that say they're friends but really just want to get them out here and get them to doing something stupid, and they end up in the bad situations. And they're not all bad kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see people out here getting killed way too much nowadays, but the first thing you hear the parents say is, my baby didn't do this, my baby didn't do that. No, your baby was out here robbing people. Your baby was out here shooting people. Your baby was out here setting pics. This is what your baby was doing. But people don't want to understand and own up to the things that their children are out here doing.
Right.
They're turning a blind eye instead of, hey, snatching them up, going through their dressers, and what's this gun doing in here? Why are these drugs in my house? You as a parent have every right to go through every single article in your house.
Mm-hmm.
You buy it.
Mm-hmm.
These are your kids. You have every right to go through everything that they own.
Yeah.
Why won't you do it?
Right.
So this is the thing.
That part.
Kids are getting away with a lot.
Yeah.
Kids nowadays are a lot sneakier
Mm-hmm.
than what we were.
Yeah.
Because the parents are a lot lackadaisical on how they're, raising them as far as discipline is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I got kids that I deal with that'll be like, my mama ain't gonna do nothing. Call her. And I call and she's like, just send him home. He gets home, he's on the phone, on the video games, got his friends over and everything. I go through and check on him. What is this? Got a house full of people. They in there playing games you're in trouble.
Right.
There's no trouble. There's
Yeah.
no fear. These kids do not fear their parents
Yeah.
nowadays. That's the number one problem. And I don't mean like you have to be scared of them because they're going to beat you or kill you.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be scared that they're going to find out you did something wrong. It's a respect issue.
Absolutely.
When I was growing up, no matter all the crazy stuff I did in the streets, we never wanted our mom and dad to find out about it.
Right.
And when they did, no matter how big we were statue-wise, we turned into little kids again that was scared.
Yeah.
And we humbled ourselves, and we was, walking in the house, getting hit in the head, What you doing, you dummy? I told you.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that fear.
Mm-hmm. Or if you did something wrong, you were too busy trying to figure out, okay, how I'm going to cover this up? What I'm going to do?
Right.
Because your fear,
Right.
your panic would just step
Of
in.
what your parents were going to
Yeah.
do when you got home.
Yeah.
We had fear of our parents.
Mm-hmm.
These kids have no fear of their parents.
I saw the news story recently where the young man killed his entire family. And he is a teenager.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, there is no way that this young man woke up one day and just killed his family. there's no way that he didn't have any behaviors or signs or backgrounds of anything to make you think that his mentality either wasn't in the right place or he was doing some of the wrong things. I don't think you just do that like that one day. You think you just do that?
I think in that situation, from the outside looking in, I have no idea. I didn't know them personally, but I have met some of his siblings since it happened, and the stories that they tell me of the things that went on, you know, I can understand. I'm not saying I can acknowledge why he did it, but I have an understanding of his mind state when he did it. And some people that we see kids every day, they're crying out.
Yeah.
But we just don't notice the signs because they're not coming straight out saying, hey, I'm not happy at home. This is going on or whatever. But you can see them and you can tell a difference in their demeanor.
Yeah.
You know, you can see that their energy is not right.
Yeah.
You know, we should not have kids running around here with bad energy.
Yeah.
Kids should always be happy.
Right.
They should always be upbeat. They should always be ready, you know, not desolate and not just drawn in and want to hide from people or want to be seen. You know, we have to start paying attention to people's energy. You know, we have to start looking at people, and even if we see that there might be a problem, say, hey, you okay? Is there anything I can do to help? That simple question can change somebody's day.
Yeah.
You know, a simple smile as somebody's having a bad day. There are small things that we can do that we just don't even think about that should be natural.
So how do the adults check back into the kids? What do we do to get them back in line and to get that connection back so that they will talk to us about what they're going through?
Sometimes it's impossible because it's been going on for so long. It takes an outside source to do it because the kids are burnt out on whatever you're saying. They're tired of it, you know, and it's not healthy for the kids. And they see that. Kids are very perceptive about the things that adults do. And they pay attention to everything we do. Everything. And they imitate everything that we do. So you have to be real leery about how and what you do around your kids. What they hear, what they don't hear, and what they see and what they don't see, for one. But a lot of situations, like I said, are sad because the parents are so far gone with the kids that they can't even do it themselves. It has to be an outside force to come in to try to balance the situation out and maybe give them a second chance to starting over.
Your style of helping others, assisting the community, you're kind of like a secret Santa. And the reason I say that is people don't really know all that you do and what you have done unless you specifically tell them. Why do you take that approach to giving back?
I feel like a lot of things are done for publicity.
Okay.
Not from the heart.
Okay.
When you do things for people and they need help, the one thing they don't need is to have their plight broadcasted all over the world. So you're not helping them, you're actually hindering them, but you're making yourself look like you're doing so much when it's unnecessary, because don't nobody need to know what you do for somebody but you, that person, and God. Because God's going to be the one that bless you. They're going to be the ones that thank you, and your heart's going to be the one that's full for what you do. So there's no need for me to go advertise and tell, well, I did such and such for such and such. I did this for such and such. I'm not cut like that. My mother told me, you will block your blessings by not doing things from your heart. If you're going to do something from somebody, do it because you love to do it. Do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because of an ulterior motive, because it won't be right. So the raising that I had instilled in me has taught me to keep people's business private.
Yeah.
If they feel like they want to thank me publicly, that's on them. And I'll let them speak about that. I won't speak about the things I do for people.
Yeah. I have a similar mentality when it comes to lipstick. As you know, we do the Christmas drive every year. We give those gifts to the school anonymously. They never meet us. And the reason for it is it's about supplying the need. It's not about our egos. And I don't even, sometimes when people are in need, they don't want to admit it. They don't want to be seen. They just want to get out of that moment. And so as long as you're blessing people, that should be all that matters. So I agree.
It don't need to be broadcasted.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not going to sit up here and tell me that you're going to go help these people that you know need help, or this is one thing that kills me. This is the one that always gets me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take this food down here and feed the homeless people,
Mm-hmm.
and then they take it down there and they got the camera going while they passing out the food. Stop,
Yeah.
because I've sat there and watched some of these videos that people do and stuff like that, and I see people that I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, ooh, really? So, like I said again, people, if you're gonna try to help somebody come up, then help them come up.
And what makes you think they want to be seen in that light? What
Nobody wants to be seen at their worst. Like
They don't-
people want. Would you go out if your hair is not done?
Oh no, you know me. I'm
Exactly.
Not doing
See, and that's just like certain people who don't want to. You know, you don't want your failures broadcasted,
that. Right.
because when you post something on a social media site, it's there for everybody to see.
Yeah. It seems like you have a huge passion for boys. Is that true?
I have a huge passion for kids, period.
Okay.
My daughter's friends still call me dad to this day.
Okay.
I've raised several of these girls out here,
Okay.
as well as boys. But the thing that stops me from working with girls
Mm-hmm.
is because I'm a man.
Okay.
That's not a good look.
Okay. I get it.
It's too many complications involved.
Yeah.
I stay away from that part of it.
Okay.
But I do help girls, though.
Mhm.
I don't just do boys.
Okay.
But I help girls. But I also have an understanding that the young men are our foundation for our future.
Mm-hmm.
We are supposed to be the backbones of our community. We're supposed to be the strength. We're supposed to be the protectors. We're supposed to be the providers.
Yeah.
These are things that we're supposed to do as men.
Mm-hmm.
Our young men growing up nowadays don't have that mentality because it's not instilled at them from birth.
Right.
So we have to pick them up and show them the way to do things. We have to show them, when helping people, the way you feel when you help somebody, the way your heart feels when you help somebody, the things that you do in your community, the way people look at you differently when you do things the right way, considering when you do them the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, give you your flowers while you're alive is a saying. So I want you young men to be able to get your flowers while you're here and not end up on a t-shirt. You know, a lot of these young boys out here feel like if they make it to the age of 25, they're an OG. That's sad.
That is very sad.
But that's the mentality they have now, because life expectancy for the brothers nowadays is bad. You got the police killing people. You got people killing people.
Yeah.
You know, you got family killing people.
Mm-hmm.
What's safe?
Right.
You know, you have to find a level ground and trying to get these young men to understand that you provide your own safety.
Yeah.
You build your own safety. You can build your own village. It doesn't have to be a gang. Just be some strong young brothers that want to do the right thing, and you get together and you do the right types of things.
Why is community missing in the community?
Because a lot of the people that are higher up in the community don't do their job reaching back down to the community, which is a lot of times the reason why you have people like us that middleman the situation. Because you got people that's actually in office that want to help people out here in the hoods and in the streets,
Right.
but they just can't reach them.
Right.
So it's more or less like some of us bridge gaps.
Mm-hmm.
We take the help that they have, that they want to give them, and we make it accessible
Yeah.
to them, because we
Absolutely.
are accessible to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been blessed that I can go in any neighborhood in the city and not have any problems with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
That is a
because
blessing.
that is a blessing. That's because I've been out here my whole life, going from hood to hood, you know, playing basketball with these guys over here. I know your OGs. Like, I know your daddy, little dude.
Right.
I know your mama.
Right.
Don't start tripping when your grandmother used to cook me dinner every day when I used to come over here, and I used to talk to your auntie or something, you know. So having those accessibilities opens up a lot of doors that aren't usually open, because there are so many programs and things that the government really does have to offer that never reach the hood, because they don't have the messenger system to get it to them. And most hoods that you go into ain't gonna let them people come down through their hood, because you the police, or you the man. Are you trying to take my little sister away from my mom or something because she always at work, you know? So it's like, it's a protective issue that they don't want them people to come down. We don't want your help. You ain't been helping us. We don't want your help. But really, they need it.
Right.
But they just aren't welcoming the people that want to come down there, or say they want to come down there. They're scared to death to come in the hood. They won't walk. They won't come past a certain block Oh, I can't go over there. I can't. Oh no, man, you go over there? Yeah, I do.
Right.
Oh well, man, here, well, take these and pass them out and tell people, this. So, okay, but don't be having me up here false flag and saying that you can do something that you're not going to do if they contact you.
Right.
Because you take away my credibility, and that's one thing that I will never lose. I will not allow nobody to take away my credibility with my people.
That part.
So if you on some BS, then you can stay that over there with that.
Over there.
Because over here we reality.
Yeah.
And over here people that I help need help.
Yeah.
And if I say I'm gonna do something for them, I want to keep my word. So I'm not gonna sit up here and tell somebody that this can be done and it can't.
I got a random question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think our community has an issue with the police? Because they're here to serve and protect, right? No, that's not what's going on.
See,
okay.
See, now this is a whole different can.
Okay.
You got police on this hand. You got the community on this hand. You got this big gap in between the two.
Yeah.
That gets wider and wider every time the police do something wrong.
Right.
You don't hardly ever hear about the police doing something right.
True.
The stories of a police officer pulling you over and just letting you go are slim to none.
Yeah.
We feel like they trying to incarcerate us. And they are. That's why they building this humongous jail that people would just seem to have forgot that they're building. They're building that to put us in. All of us.
Yeah.
Because they need to fill it up. Because they spent a lot of money on it. So they're going to start locking people up. Literally, like, when them doors open, they're going to start, you get pulled over for anything. Oh, we're going to go ahead and just take you to processing. They're going to start locking people up. This place is humongous. The reason why police have this reputation is because they're not in the community as they should be.
Okay.
Just because a police officer drives down your street doesn't mean he's in your community. It means he's doing his job. It means he's looking for something wrong instead of him getting out of that car and saying, hey, I'm officer such and such. I patrol your area. Is there anything y'all need help with? Y'all got any problems?
So the
community
lack of
policing. Yeah,
Okay.
there's no community policing anymore.
Okay.
There's no police officers that when they drive down the street, people wave at them. Like we used to have police officers come down through our hood. They stop and talk to us. We wave at them. My mom and them wave. Hey, that's Judy Lee boy over there. He the police now or something. It ain't no more of that no more. Then you got these officers. And I hate to say this, but this is the only way I can say it. They were beat up and punked and probably, bullied as kids that have grown up to realize, okay, now I got this, I can be the bully. And they think about that when they out in these streets. And that's a mentality that they have to change on their end.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all police officers are bad because I know some great ones.
Yeah.
I know some great ones. I grew up with some that's cool as a fan.
Yeah.
That ain't in here trying to do all that. They just doing their job and they really want to do work in the community. There are officers like that, but they're outnumbered so heavily that, they're frowned upon sometimes for wanting to do it for the community. And that in itself is bad. So it's not necessarily a community police issue. It's a human issue. Because when you become a police officer, you lose a little bit of your humanity.
Yeah.
Because they take it away from you. Because they want you to abide by these rules. You have to go by these codes.
Yeah.
And then you got this brotherhood. But at the same time, they want you to do this stuff with the same people you grew up with. The same people you broke bread with. The same people that you ran around the neighborhoods with. They want you to arrest these people. They want you to be this way towards these people. And so they take away your humanity when you become a police officer a lot. Like there are some officers that have managed to retain theirs, but that's because they stayed out the way. And you have officers that come in gung ho, I'm gonna get you, you're going to jail, you're going to jail, you're going to jail. So they get their reputation. And once you get that reputation, then you have no respect in the hood no more. Because that's lost, because they know if you come in the hood, oh, he gonna lock somebody up. He on some blase today. He coming, doggone, so.
Yeah.
So it's one of them type of things. But the gap can be bridged, but it has to be bridged on both sides. It can't just be a community wanting to work with the police. It has to be the police heavily wanting to work more with the community. Yeah. It has to be more of an issue of them coming in than us going in.
Right.
They have to, at this point, the reparations need to be paid.
Yeah.
And it has to be paid by the police force because they're the ones that's been doing stuff,
Because it seems like fear and apprehension on both ends.
Yeah.
When they come around, it's, oh God, what are they on? Whose day are they trying to ruin? And then when they're coming in, oh, who's the thug? Who's the one I need to be fearful of?
I mean, it's probably true, because people are going to defend their families,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of police officers that's riding around here got one little gun
Mm-hmm.
with maybe 16 shots in it, and you might pull up on the scene when somebody might have a barrel clip with 150 rounds in it, and they got 45 over there and 16 over there and 27 more over there. So a police officer pulling up onto a scene don't know what they're pulling up into either. So they have a lot of fear, but that's not an excuse for them to kill us.
Absolutely.
I will never ever make an excuse for any officer that gives them a reason to kill us or take our lives.
Absolutely.
When they're supposed to protect and serve us. A lot of them have their orders wrong. They have their prerequisites wrong. Like, you're supposed to be here to protect and serve us, but instead you want to lock us up and kill us.
Right.
So the mentality of them changes, and then a lot of times the officers become officers and they get with other officers, and the other officers are pretty much coming down on, like, you better do this, you better do that, and you better not say nothing, and this, or we're gonna make you lose your job, and So it's a lot of pressure on both ends. I get it, but once they started really, really, really taking our lives, people started really paying attention. When Michael Taylor got killed back in the 80s, a friend of mine in the back of the police car, and he was handcuffed and supposedly shot himself in the head, and nothing happened to them officers. That put a black eye on the whole relationship between the city, the community, and the police. And it's never had a chance to mend. And then with Dejan getting killed recently, which was spent a lot of time at my house with my son. Him and my son were great friends, went to school together and everything. Also, with him getting killed, it kind of like put another black eye on him. And this generation's black eye is different from my generation's black eye, because back then we wasn't running around with guns, shooting and doing all this stuff, shooting at people's house. This generation got guns, big guns, bigger guns than I got, type of guns. So they going around shooting up stuff. So their mentality is different. So when they see a police officer coming, they're on the defensive. Is he coming to shoot us? So they ready to shoot you.
Right.
So it's one of them. It has to be something that has to be settled from the police end first, though.
Let me ask you this, because you are known for your advice, and you are known to have the answers or solutions in different situations. I've seen you as an advocate. What's some advice that you would give to a teenager that you think is headed down the wrong path?
Take a long look at yourself. Sit down and talk to yourself. Ask yourself, what do you really want to do in life? What are your goals? Not what your friends want you to do, but what do you want out of your life?
Right.
What are you doing to achieve what you want to do in your life? What can you do to achieve the things you want to do in your life? How do you think your parents feel about the way you're living your life right now? How did your grandmother feel about the way you live in your life? Were you raised like this? Are you going to raise your children like this? Do you want to see your children? Do you want to have children one day? Do you want to carry on your lineage? Do you want your last name to continue? These are the type of things you have to ask these young men, because these young men don't think. They don't. Their thought processes is, I'm going to give me a pistol, give me a sack, go get me a girl, and well, it's whatever. It's whatever. It's all you hear is it's whatever. I want all the smoke. It's whatever. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You need to leave the smoke alone, and it's not whatever.
Right.
You need to get whatever into your life that's going to get you straight. It's going to have you have a future. It's going to allow you to grow old and have these children and grandchildren and be able to carry your lineage in your last name.
Because it's about more than just today.
They live for today because tomorrow's not promised to them. And that's sad. The life expectancy of these young boys out here now is horrible. And that's not what society says it is, it's what they say it is. So the young boys that I deal with, the young men I deal with on a daily basis, they don't feel like they're going to make it. They don't feel like they're going to live to be a certain age. They don't see it. So that in itself is a problem, because they should never feel like they're not going to live to see 25, 26 years old.
So what are the resources that you offer, or the ways to contact you if a parent is needing assistance with their teenager, or if a teenager is just in need and wants some support?
Well, of course, all my social media sites are wide open. Nothing's private. Everything's public. All you got to do is just ask. I listen. I speak up. I might not get back to you immediately because a lot of people are asking.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get all my messages like right away, but my number's been the same for 20 some odd years. It's been out here, so
Okay.
I'm not hard to find. Of course, I stand out in the crowd. You can't miss me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and everybody knows somebody that knows me. So if you really seriously want to get together with me and do some things, reach out to me. I respond, and I do my best to help.
Well, I'm so thankful for you just being in the community, you being a voice, because a lot of times things happen and they're really bad, and someone should say something, and people don't. They almost like tuck their tail. And so what I've noticed is your approach is kind of the opposite. Whenever something is happening, good or bad, you're like, look, y'all, we got to do better. Look, y'all, we got to come together. And I think that's a way to bring it back also.
It's a start, but without action, words are just words.
Yeah.
So, and a pair of lips to say anything. You just got to put action behind it.
Absolutely.
We need to take action for us.
Yeah.
It all starts with us. We can't depend on people to do things for us that we need to start doing for ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to working with you in the future.
You better.
And doing some projects together to help our community.
Definitely.
I thank you so much for coming on.
Not a problem. Anytime.
See, we talked for a whole hour. We did it.
Say
Almost. Thank you, guys. See you next time.